Hey, it's Dan Charles with Cannabiz News, and this is your weekly cannabis stock report. And we're going to go over some weekly cannabis stocks. Um, so let's start with a new one, which is GLNNF. It's called Glance Technologies. So I just started scanning this stock recently. It's probably one of the more interesting looking stocks. So first thing I notice, resistance at $1. Came up, hit a high at 95, pulled back. There's always or often going to be resistance at whole numbers, especially when you have a stock below $1. Getting over that dollar hump can take a few times. So it pulled back on that price range, and as you can see, it's starting to find support at higher prices like 48 cents. There's some support here, and now it's looking to break out. So this is an interesting stock that I'll definitely be keeping an eye on for tomorrow. So this trades on the OTC GLNNF. So that's an interesting stock chart. Some of the ones I've been looking at the last couple weeks, the Canadian cannabis stocks, I just took a look at them, and they're mostly they're all the same in that they're topping out. They hit their highs, they're pulling back, and to me they have to break out on Monday, Tuesday, which is tomorrow, and maybe we can start another rally in the cannabis stocks in the month of November. But right now I'm hesitant to pull the trigger on any of them, and this stock looks the most interesting at this point. So I am going to look at some of the OTC symbols for some of the same cannabis stocks. So I'm going to look at Canopy Growth Corporation, and I'm going to look at the OTC symbol. So let's look at that. It's TWMJF. Alright, so here it is here. I mean, it's going to look pretty much the same as the Canadian one, but it's good to actually look at both symbols, because you may see something different, slightly different in one symbol that you don't see in another. Like, for example, this resistance at 1101. So there's that resistance on a whole number. Now it did crack the $11 price just by 1 cent, but it pulled back. And now you can see, after pulling back for a week or so, tried to break out again, but last week just largely went sideways, all reds and down. So this is what I mean by these Canadian cannabis stocks. They need to have a breakout on Monday, Tuesday, just a breakout, and that would be a signal for me to possibly get in and take a position. So quickly, I'm just going to look at the let's see here. I'm going to look at the Canadian one quickly here, just to compare. So there's the OTC for Canopy Growth. Here is the one that trades on the Canadian exchange. So you can see it's slightly different. It didn't hit that exact price. Obviously we're talking Canadian dollar, US dollar here, so there's going to be a difference. But it looks pretty much the same, but there are some takeaways I could take from the OTC symbol over this one. Alright, let's keep rolling here. So there's a couple new ones here. I'm going to look at Hemptech. This is HTCO. Alright, so yeah, nothing to really report here. I just did a scan of high market cap, higher volume OTC cannabis stocks, and this is the one I I just import it into my scanner, and it's clearly on a downtrend. It's making lower lows and lower highs. You can see that here. Might be some support at the $1.38 price, but this is not something I would want to get into. Next, let's look at Axim. AXIM is the symbol. The name is Axim Biotechnologies Incorporated. Here it is here. And after a nice breakout on the 5th of October, and the 6th was the day that I feel like most of the cannabis stocks kind of topped out at, and that was a couple weeks ago for my analysis, a few weeks ago, and this one just kept hitting resistance, pulled back. I mean, this is a huge pullback. It gave up the entire gain. One thing that's very big in my trading strategies, I don't care if I'm doing stocks, forex, commodities, whatever I'm doing, if you're holding a stock or anything and you get a large breakout high rangy candle, you're often going to pull back after that, because the range, it's not going to keep going up at that rate of incline. So it's always best to pull out, if you will, after a long rangy candle, and never enter after a long rangy candle, because I guarantee you a lot of people saw this big breakout candle, this big volume, this volume spike. Actually, that's not much of a volume spike, 140,000, but it does trade at over $6 to $8 on that day. So, but yeah, I guarantee you a lot of people bought in on this day, or some people. Now I'm looking at the volume, but you get the idea, and they're probably still holding this way underwater right now. Anyways, let's keep going. Let's look at, well, we could look at the OTC for Aurora Cannabis, which is ACBFF. And this just looks exactly like the Canadian symbol. I feel like these need to break out quick. Monday, Tuesday is going to be defining day, because if this breaks down on Monday, tomorrow, the 30th of November, or sorry, October, then it's going to test these levels of support, and if it breaks these, I could see this really starting to come down. So I see Monday, Tuesday as an important day in all these cannabis stocks. They need to break out to the upside, and that would give me confidence of a potential entry point. Let's look at SCNA, Smart Cannabis Corp. This is only like a 4-cent stock, but it's got a $233 million market cap, and this is going nowhere. It's just sideways in a range. Support of 3 cents, if you want to call it that, but this needs to break out. Unfortunately, a lot of penny stocks have this characteristic where it's just banging up and down in a range of a couple cents or even 1 cent. It really needs to break out on high volume to even look at something like this. So I'm embarrassed I even clicked on this stock, but I simply selected it based on market cap. Let's see here. SPOXF. SPOXF. This is Sprott Inc. And another one I selected based on price and market cap. It's got a market cap of 402 million, but this is just it's basically going sideways, choppy, but more down. So it needs to turn around and start an uptrend. Remember, the trend is your friend. So that's a little trading theory, but it's completely legit. You don't want to be, a lot of people will buy the bottom or what they think is the bottom, but you never know when the bottom is because it could just keep dropping and dropping and dropping. So that's a terrible strategy that works for some people sometime, but for the most part it doesn't work. You want to buy or enter a stock when you can clearly see the trend is starting to go up. So let's do one more here. We will do MedFF. This is Med Relief Corp. Okay, so this one is a little more interesting. You can see the breakout here on the 5th of October and hitting a high on the 16th of $9.32. Went choppy, consolidated, and now this is a very bullish little candle. It looks to me like it wants to potentially break out, but I'm still not sold. I want to see what happens on Monday, Tuesday with all these cannabis stocks, and then I'll make a decision on what to do. So that's my analysis for this week. If you have any questions, you can answer them in the video comment below, and have a great week.